Hey there everybody, SeKo Starcraft back with Game 2 between SOS and Hyun from the Red Bull Battlegrounds. Pretty sure this was group stages. Regardless, it is a best of 3. Game 1 went to SOS in what I would call a very good strategy. It was really fun. I suggest people check it out, particularly if you're a protoss player. Really smart 2-base play. Just was able to do a good chunk of damage with not a ton of units, and then transition into a very strong, essentially 2-base all-in that just wiped out Hyun, and Hyun's a big deal player. So that kind of strategy just shows that this is a very polished build that SOS was putting together, and yeah, I was able to do very well. Even though Hyun, with what was a very good timed roach play, was able to save himself against the earlier harass with the warp prism, just didn't get out enough units to deal with the colossus play that was coming at him. This is a 4-player map. Very, very large map. Good news for Hyun. He is scouting in the right direction, so we'll see what's going on. Last game we saw a Nexus first out of SOS on a 2-player map, so fairly ballsy. And we saw that there was a pool first out of Hyun, playing a little bit more on the cautious side. He's doing that again. And maybe he knows a little bit more about SOS and some more propensity to go for cannon rushes or early pressure against the expansions. But it just shows that there's a mental game there. I mean, if you go pool first, you're not going to lose outright because you're a zerg player and you lose a little bit of economy. But it means you won't lose to generally some sort of cheeses or anything like that. We see Hyun scouting around, making sure. Playing pretty cautious. I mean, he's got to win this game. He wants to do well in this tournament. There's a good prize pool for it. So he's playing a lot more defensive. We have a 1-gate expand on this side. Generally, we've seen Protoss when they want to do this. We'll get the cybernetics core and start the mothership core when they go for the expand. In this case, he's going for it much earlier, and it's scouted right away by the zerg player. But I don't think that the zerg player's going to be able to do anything about it. A couple of zerglings out, just for a little bit of map presence, maybe a bit of scouting. But really, they're not going to, I think, do too much good for him. Well, this is the important thing. He wants to see the timing of this base over here. And he might be able to delay it a second, but I don't think it's that big of a deal for him. It's more important to maybe try and save the probe. I don't know if he will be able to save it, though. There's 2 zerglings on him. He's got a lot of map to cross. So, pretty fast 3-base play. Cybernetics core is getting done. There are 2 gas geysers being taken. I think he's got 3 in each gas there as well. This version doesn't tell me how many people are in the gas. Or at least I don't have that setting set up, one or the other. So he's pumping out a lot more gas than we generally see out of Protoss at this stage, so we'll go for just a couple. Zealot will chase around these zerglings, just doesn't want to lose a probe or anything like that. Mothership core is about to pop out, and he'll be perfectly safe against anything else that may happen. One zergling gets killed. Meh. Wasn't too big of a deal. Nice big symbols. I like when they do that on maps. Sponsorship. Lots and lots of drones. I'm expecting this to be a fairly no-touch game for the next little while here. We do have a stargate as part of the wall off. And a lot of the times that might seem counterintuitive, like, oh, but he was going to scout that. But it's pretty easy for the zerg player to get in scouts earlier in the game if they really want to. Sacrifice an overlord or something like that. So seeing that a stargate doesn't necessarily mean that anything different is happening. Zealot, Mothership core might go and pressure the 3rd base. Sometimes you can get a lot done with just this unit combination. If there's just a queen there, you can actually cut through it pretty fast. And your Zealot can generally feel pretty safe, just because the Mothership core will actually get in a good amount of damage when it's unchecked. There's a stalker out, so see about intercepting some of these zerglings. Doesn't want to get surrounded, but that doesn't look like that's going to be the case. Just going to go over and control the watchtowers right now. There's a lot of metagame I'm seeing in Protoss on these kind of maps with really interesting 2-base timings. Very, very common to go for that. I like the Oracle coming out. I'll probably team up with the Mothership core, put on a little bit of hurt. Maybe not. Mothership core is already at home. These two base timings that the Protoss can do as a Zerg player, unless you really have the best scouting or great luck, it's very difficult to know, okay, now it's time to start making units to defend myself. A little bit of damage on that Oracle, but that's not really even that big of a deal. Got himself up 7 kills. He doesn't want to run into this queen though. Get out of there. Only a couple hits left, but the shields will come back. Not a lot of shields on Oracle. They are pretty lightweight. But 7 kills. It's a pretty good job out of that there. It's a big cycle, a lot of minerals from a Zerg player that really doesn't want to be making more workers than he needs to at this stage of the game. We are going to be going up to a 3 base here. And there really is nothing that you can do about this as a Zerg player. And that's been in my mind a little bit. Protoss is one of the races I'm most confident in going into the late game. Terran in the late game, I mean, it's fun. It's probably one of the most fun races you can play. But the Protoss usually has such a cost-effective army. It's so powerful that if you can get up this great economy and get out the unit selection that you want, get into Storms, Colossus, Stargate Tech, you can bounce around so fast. Zerg, I mean, you can remax pretty quick if you build up the larva. Protoss, if you have those gateways down, you can warp out an entire army ready to do damage in an instant. So I've been debating for a while whether or not I want to main as Protoss. I still like doing a lot of random play, just because it's more fun, I find. You just get to do more cool things. But you look at this as a Zerg player. So yeah, he can keep going. He can go and get out a little bit more economy. Maybe take a 4th base, do something else. But that's not as big of a ticket. Like as a Zerg player, you want to deny the Protoss' ability to get to this level, just because they become so powerful. So it puts the onus quite a bit on the Zerg player to be able to go out there and get some damage done. As the Protoss player is happy to be in this spot. If you hear any noise in the background, my cat's being a total jerk and sitting inside of my backpack. How's your problem? Somehow that's comfortable. Anyways, it'll be a roach hydra mix coming out on this side. Sees everything that's going on here. Perfectly safe, even without having many units out right now for the Protoss player. There's really nothing he's got to worry about. 4th base is on the way. He's actually expanding towards his opponent, which makes me think he might be going for swarm hosts. Some sort of contain unit that's going to allow him to really hold a line here in the middle and do some denying. Otherwise, that would be very counterintuitive. You'd want to expand even further away, get up some defenses. The trick is, I mean, even if you're doing that as a Protoss player, you throw down a pylon up here, all of a sudden you got a bunch of zealots kicking around inside of your base instantly. So it really puts the Zerg in a big disadvantage when it comes to expanding safely. They've really got to be aware of those pylons and what's out on the map. Hyun's got a pretty big supply block. We see him making a ton of overlords right now just to keep back into this. Upgrades, full swing, colossus, voidrays. The money death mix of Wings of Liberty is in production. To this point, SOS really doesn't have to worry about getting out a 4th base or anything like that. I mean, his economy is doing great. He's probably going to cut pro production here pretty fast. Twilight Council is going to allow him to get to the next level of upgrades. Don't know if he's going to want to push out with this army or not. It's fairly strong. I mean, but it's one of those things that's pretty expensive. You don't want to just give it away. Hydra is obviously not super strong against something like that. This observer has been kicking around for a long time. Let's see if he wants to put on a bit of pressure here. Maybe deny some creep. Shooting the creep tumors would be worthwhile, I find, but maybe just too many units. Just wanted to poke, force the Zerg player to make more units. And I don't mind the move into Mutalisks here. He is onto 4 bases, got the gas on 4 bases. He's gonna have to get up a really big number though. Voidrays obviously aren't great against Mutalisks, but when they're backed up with, you know, the Guardian shields from the sentries, stalkers on the ground, they can do pretty decently. And the Zerg has a pretty big bank right now. I would have expected him to pump out a giant pile of more mutalisks at this point just to be able to get that overwhelming number. But it looks like he just wants a small group to do a little bit of harass with. You see there's some cannons in play to try to deal with this. Cancelled something. I didn't see what he cancelled then. I don't know what the gateway count is here for our Protoss player. He's only got 6 gateways actually. A lot of other tech. Ah, no, I hit the wrong button, guys. Forgive me. So that means he really can't warp in a ton. I do like the Vipers coming out. Big roach play. He's actually going to probably lose a handful. That's not how you micro Phoenixes. Well, it looks like the mutas are just deciding to kill as many workers as possible. Are there 3 stargates out? There are. Fantastic. So I think you actually got a pretty good chunk of workers there. Actually got 13 in total. There's... Wait, how did he kill that many workers? 16. Well, that Oracle's really been putting in work this whole time that I've not been watching it. Phoenixes really aren't doing him any good right now. They're just there to deal with the mutas, and now there's nothing to deal with the mutas. Probe is actually out on the map, and it will get spotted. Looked like it was on a journey to throw down some pylons in some random places. We see these zerglings are patrolling and scouting everywhere because that one pylon, as I mentioned, can really screw things up. 4th base on the way for SOS. There is a max out now for Hyun. No armor on these units. Storm finished researching? Where is that? I know the army's over here about to attack. I can't look. Grabbed a sentry out of that. I don't think that was the intent. Hydras in the back are doing a pretty good job. There's not much of a meat shield right now for the colossus. Looks like he will hold it off there. The Zerg player lost quite a bit in that attack as well. Blink would be pretty nice. 10 corruptors on the way. They'll help him deal with this colossus count. And I was sure that Hyun would be, you know, in a lot of trouble against the just straight up mix that we have from our opponents down here in the Protoss player. Storm isn't finished yet though. Moving into a really high Archon Zealot mixture would be really, really effective. But he should be getting out Charge and Blink. He's got Blink done. Charge might be nice. Pylons act as a bit of an early warning thing. You don't want to spend too much of your supply on getting out. Oh. Oh yes. There are more voidrays in the mix right now. So he does have units to deal with this. But sniping from across this ridge will be very effective. I would expect to see Tempests get made very quickly after these get identified. Tempests do so much damage. They're like 3-shot broodlords because they're a massive unit. Pretty sure it's, yeah, it's biological massive. Massive! Thick, juicy, massive. Good storms. She's really good storms. If we can cut through the hydra mix here, the stalkers might be able to get in enough damage. Queens are in the back hitting with as much transfuse as they can. But I think this broodlord army is going to go down. And it'll have done quite a bit of damage. But it hasn't thinned out the colossus numbers. And it really hasn't gotten any economic damage in. Huge remax on roaches. Which essentially means there's like no anti-air in here to deal with any of these. I think it's kind of a desperation move by Hyun. I'm sure he expected to do a little bit more work with that attack of his. It's a pretty good amount of roaches though. He's going to swarm right on top of this here, but I don't know if he's got enough. There's a lot of zerglings. He is trying to get on top of the colossus. It looks like he will finally snipe 1, 2, 3. Being a look at the supplies, just really getting crushed there. I mean, there are other bases right now mining for Hyun. The reinforcements that are going to come from any of those hatcheries will take forever to get over here. We'll see if Hyun pushes in with his army and wants to build in a little bit more tech there. Was warping in something somewhere. Oh, there's his pylon. There's his warp endpoint. So he's got to fall back quite a ways for any reinforcements he wants. More High Templars for some storms. Throw down a cannon just to be cheeky. Just have a bit of fun. Don't think there's any... Yeah, he's got Zerglings in position on this side of the map just to be able to see if there's a probe that would be sneaking over to drop any pylons. He lost a lot of stuff there, but he is slowly getting his army back together. A lot of roaches and hydras again. Upgrades, 2-1. Worker transfer, 3-1. Slight lead for the Zerg player, which is a bit surprising for me. Would expect with some chrono boost kicking around he'd be able to do a little bit more work on those upgrades. Spending his chrono boost quite well though. You can see there's almost none banked up on any of these structures. I just decided that I'm going to make mac and cheese as soon as I am finished with this game. I had an amazing dinner the other night. I had some leftover taco beef from making burritos at home, and I put that in with sharp cheddar mac and cheese. I don't know how you guys make mac and cheese, but I don't use any milk in my mac and cheese, just butter, and it turns it into a thicker sauce of a mac and cheese. Less creamy, right? Less milk, less creamy, but just pure flavor. And you mix in some really well seasoned taco beef. Oh man, felt like that should be illegal. And it might be just for the sake of, you know, what that might do to your health. These zealots will not get spotted until they run into the other watchtower vision. Then they will be spotted. Smart move by Hyun. He's got a little bit of extra money. He doesn't want to lose to anything stupid. That's also a really cute little blink past. Is he actually going to go for overlords? He could actually. The funny thing is, there really hasn't been an overproduction of overlords. Sniping that Viper would be pretty worthwhile. That's a pretty sexy hit. Wow, that almost worked. Blinding cloud over the spire. That almost worked. That was really cool. I did not expect that. Zealots are now 3-1. They should be able to get this hatchery down. You're kind of close. Nope, gonna go down. So the army from SOS, surprisingly, hasn't really gotten that much beefier. I mean, his supply isn't that huge. He sent around a lot of units to just sacrifice in order to get up a little bit more harass going on. But I expected a few more colossus, more voidrays, something like that. Instead, he's making some phoenix carriers. Yes. I cannot remember the last time I've seen carriers. There's actually a pretty good mix of mutas there. It's a big muta switch. He lost his upgrades from that was almost about to finish on his other spire. I don't think it's going to work out super well. He put up a lot of well, there's no cannons down here actually, just the 2. Put up a lot in the middle. And there are a lot of phoenixes out now. Phoenixes have no upgrades either. +1 should be finished pretty soon. Nice snipe. Just gets out of there. Dark Shrine on the way. I think it'll be really effective to throw around some Dark Shrines. I mean, there's no spore crawlers here. It's very surprising to me. 1 spore, a couple more spines, and that'll protect both bases essentially quite well. A little bit of ring around the rosy. This might turn a little base tradey here. Looks as though the Zerg player is willing to just avoid the army to do some damage. I don't know if that's gonna... Ooh, big storms. Oh, big storms. I mean, this is all well and good to do a little bit of damage like this, but if he loses all this army again here, I just don't think that's going to be worthwhile in the grand scheme of things. High Templar doesn't get any shots off. Not a big deal though. 1 random Colossus out here. Oh, actually survive. Chases down all the mutas. Trying to get some corruptors out, but yeah, Hyun lost everything in that attack. And this is a really fun thing you can do once you start getting out enough phoenixes. You can just sit and fight stuff. And there's the GG. No answer for the size of army coming in. So SOS takes the series 2-0 over the very impressive Hyun. Thanks for everybody and tuning in, and I'm going to go have myself some mac and cheese because it's going to be unbelievable. Thanks very much, and we'll talk with you later.